Welcome back, friends, to the Run It Back podcast. I am Joy. Along with me is Wes. How are you doing today,
Hi,
Wes?
Joy. Hi, Joy. Hi, Run It Back Nation. Happy New Year. Here's to a wonderful 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy New Year to you, man. But yeah, what you been up to this week?
This week, working,
Ah,
figuring out why life is kind of difficult without F1,
yeah,
seeing a lot of interesting news in the F1 world,
that's
and
true.
now we're here to talk about it on New Year's Day. 2 weeks in a row, Joy, we get to talk about our favorite sports and our favorite racing series on major holidays. It's quite the spectacle.
Absolutely. I feel like the engineers at McLaren when Alonso forced them to work at Christmas Day, New Year's Day. I don't know if you know about that story, Wes. Alonso made when he was with McLaren made the engineers work during Christmas Eve and Christmas Day at the wind tunnel, which is not
That doesn't
surprised.
sound surprising.
Absolutely, I was about to say I'm not surprised.
It doesn't sound surprising. I wouldn't be surprised when he left Formula One back in 2018. I wouldn't be surprised if he made Toyota do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, I mean, granted, Toyota was a lot more dominant in their racing series, but yeah. Uh, Speaking of McLaren, there was a piece done in the race today by the race today. I believe it was Scott Mitchell, and pretty much the title of the article was, or the piece was McLaren's most important season since 2008. Now, I remember 2008 was the year after Lewis had won the championship, and they were still quite dominant, but that was when like they started to fall back a little bit. That was when pretty much Red Bull started to gain momentum, and that's when like everything kind of turned its head on. Especially that was the year where it was the the birth of Braun GP out of nowhere, right? Honda just becomes this team from out of the ashes, the phoenix out of the ashes. And so yeah, I totally agree. This was probably the most important year this year, regaining third place in the constructors for McLaren since 2008. And so yeah, I wanted to know like what's your reaction to McLaren's rise recently.
I think it's good for Formula One.
Absolutely.
There's probably no other way for me to put that together other than how I just said it. And that is because, yes, from what I understood when I started watching Formula One again, was that McLaren was pretty much on the outside looking in,
Right.
a lot further than a few other teams on the grid.
Right.
And generally, when you think about Formula One from a historical standpoint, two teams come to mind, right? And that is Ferrari and McLaren.
Mm.
And when I got back into Formula one was obviously doing a lot better than the other.
Right.
And then, of course, 2019 was still Ferrari in the upper hand. And then this year you have McLaren
Mm.
in the upper hand over Ferrari. So, of course, in a perfect Formula One world, you would prefer to have those two at the top,
Right.
right? Because they are the two biggest names in Formula One.
Right.
But for them to regain a top three position in 2020, and it's been a long time since McLaren has been remotely at the top of the Formula One constructors grid. That is very good, and I do agree that it is their most important season since 2008 because nowadays the stars are aligning. They have the engines that they want. They still have their world class facility despite the financial restrictions and hardships that they've had throughout the year. They have two drivers that can bring them to the promised land.
Hmm.
They have good leadership, if not great.
Hmm.
And this guy is looking good. It's looking up.
Right.
You know, it can't really be that hard to well, it's going to be hard, don't get me wrong, but it shouldn't be that hard to imagine McLaren actually dethroning a team like Red Bull or Mercedes or whomever else at the top of the grid within the next 5, 6, 7 years.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with all the events that you listed out there, Wes. One thing that the race did do for McLaren, for the piece that they did, was it actually listed the events that got them into the situation where we they were looking from the outside in, right? So a lot of the biggest pretty much changes from McLaren through starting from 2008 was Ron Dennis made the decision to dump the Mercedes engines to go to Honda. And at first they realized that they were gonna need to take some time to make sure that Honda grow. However, the engines just weren't, you know, ver- they weren't speaking to the chassis that the way that they wanted to happen, and they lost pretty much Adrian Newey to Red Bull, which was a massive hit. And then Ron Dennis, he retired. He retired from McLaren, and I won't lie. I thought at that point I was like, they had Jenson Button, they had Fernando Alonso. They still could make a great car without those three key factors into the car. However, I did think that it was going to be downhill from there. I didn't think McLaren was going to bounce back, to be honest with you. But I'm, like you said, I am so glad that they have found the right pieces recently with Zach Brown, Andrea Seidel, and this incredible driver lineup of Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz. And we underrate. He's so underrated, Carlos Sainz. I didn't think he was that great of a driver that can develop the car, but I think he's proven us wrong. He's proven me wrong. And Lando Norris, coming out of his rookie season, he was a lot better than I thought he was going to be. And so I'm so proud for the McLaren team and David Coulthard. He once raced for McLaren. He made a statement saying that this is not the same McLaren that he used to race for. Back then McLaren was the most serious team, especially when Ron Dennis was running it. Like you couldn't get a smile from Ron Dennis. You had to be precise. You had to be punctual, and you had to be the best at everything you did. Whereas now McLaren is more of a fun environment. I feel like I would want to work at McLaren. And I think it's just down to Zach Brown. It's down to these new drivers. It's down to Andrea Seidel. And so I'm looking forward to the future for McLaren. They are on the up, but like you said, it will take a massive effort to dethrone Red Bull, to dethrone Mercedes, or whoever is going to be the next team in these upcoming years, right? For the next 5 years. It could be McLaren. Who knows? But yeah, I'm super excited for McLaren. I'm glad this piece came out. I'm glad that the race made this piece. And so, yeah, to all of our audience, check out this piece. It's called McLaren's Most Important Season Since 2008. But with that being said, Wes, what were the top 3 best McLaren moments off the top of your head?
Oh man, I had to dig into the history books for this one.
Yeah.
But in no particular order, let's go back to 2008. Lewis Hamilton winning the title, his first drivers' championship.
Mm,
Now, of course, if anyone understands Lewis Hamilton's story, he doesn't come from a big financial backing. What had to happen was McLaren and Ron Dennis actually giving him some type of help to fund his karting career
right.
and promising him a drive as long as he continues to dominate the karting as well as the junior formulas.
Right.
That's what ended up happening. He ended up getting called up to the team in 2007, right?
Right.
And he actually did very well to the point where
He beat
good things have gotten. Yeah, he beat his teammate
he beat
Fernando
Alonso. Right. In his rookie season, which
Yes, and if had things gone a certain way, then he would have been the champion in 2007 as well.
yeah, absolutely.
In 2009, had certain things gone his
Dang.
way.
Dang gravel trap from China.
Yeah, exactly. Not to mention boring racing.
All right.
Give me a travel ban. I don't care.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, 3 year. Hamilton could have had a three-peat at McLaren,
Mm,
albeit which was allegedly in the second or third best car all 3 years.
right.
And what makes this a best McLaren moment is that they got their man. They invested in him for years before he actually stepped into the Formula One cockpit.
Right.
And by the time he got his chance, holy shit. It's like hitting the lottery.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, McLaren at the same time would give him his low points, but then again, all you have to do is turn on the TV or go on YouTube and watch where Lewis is now to realize that that particular moment probably was the best for him, and we all know who Lewis Hamilton is.
Right.
Or
Absolutely.
should I say, actually, no, I'll save it. Um, the second best, or not second best, yeah, or the second moment that comes to mind for best McLaren moments, having Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost on the same team.
Okay.
So
Any
I did watch it,
particular moment from that era?
just having them on the team.
Okay.
Maybe if you want, you could make up your own ideology of what I mean by that, but
Right.
just having them both on the same team, because it's very rare that any given team has two of the best drivers
Right.
in the sport at the same time and they're still in their prime,
Right.
right? Of course, that led to a lot of toxicity, a lot of bumping into each other, and a lot of volatility, animosity, hatred, and unfortunately, one of those guys is no longer alive today. And if he was, Senna, I think, would be very proud to see how Formula One has progressed in terms of safety, in terms of viewership, and perhaps being a mentor to someone like Lando or Ricardo or Sainz, or even Hamilton, even.
Right.
And then my third moment that I thought of was this past year, 2020 P3, because yes, McLaren has been on the mend for the last couple of years, and this year kind of showed that this rebuild is more or less complete.
Right.
It's now up to Danny Rick, Lando, Zach Brown, and Andreas Seidel, and the rest of the team in Woking to finally get it over the hill.
Right.
And whether they can do it, it has yet to be seen, but confidence is looking pretty high. And those are my three moments. Hamilton winning his maiden title, Senna and Prost on the same team, and the 2020 season.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are great moments, Wes. That I mean, some of them I will also have on my top three, and yeah, in no particular order. For me, I have pretty much James Hunt, driving the McLaren against Niki Lauda's Ferrari. For me, this was, if any of the audience wants to learn more about this rivalry, you could just watch the movie Rush. Portray the characters pretty well. But yeah, James Hunt, right? He's different from today's Formula One driver. He is a lot more of a playboy than he is a driver. I think he would even admit that. But he was still incredibly talented, and him versus Niki Lauda was just a perfect rivalry at that time. Niki Lauda was more of this serious guy who doesn't seem to have a lot of fun. He just takes his work very seriously, and he's very committed to winning multiple championships, to just keep winning, just in general. Niki Lauda, James Hunt was a little bit more of a superstar. He definitely understood his identity as a Formula One driver. However, there was that season where on pretty much the same equal car, Ferrari and McLaren, they were able to pretty much go head to head. And James Hunt won out, winning his first world title, and that's what he aimed for, and that's all he wanted to do was to prove the world that he can win a Super Bowl, a championship, a World Drivers Championship. And to me, I don't know, like it definitely, just watching these two battle was pretty much the culmination of what Formula One is to me. It was just so dangerous, and it was just pretty much pedal to the metal, pushing all the way throughout every single lap. Um, and you have this playboy versus this, pretty much a mechanic. Well, he wasn't just a mechanic, but he was more of a genius in Niki Lauda. And so yeah, that's my first moment. The second moment for me, I think Ayrton Senna in Monaco, winning Monaco, when he pretty much was 1 second ahead of his teammate Alain Prost in the same car, in the same machinery. I think that to me, like, beating McLaren, beating Ferrari in pretty much a level playing field at that time against Ferrari. But that's what Bruce McLaren, to me, what he aimed for, was having this incredible team that pretty much stopped at nothing when it came to perfection. And Ron Dennis was kind of also this centerpiece for that, right? Like, he was a guy, like I said, he was much more strict. He was a perfectionist, and pretty much him, Ayrton Senna, the guy who is also a perfectionist himself. He pretty much believed he had a God-given right to win. Of course, this combination of this McLaren philosophy, environment, and Ron Dennis's pretty much management and leadership, and Ayrton Senna's talent, driving, and his pretty much pursuit of perfection. They're gonna it's gonna be hard to beat that combination. And for quite some time, McLaren was that team to beat. Um, but yeah, it was incredible. Also the Honda engines, right? The V6 turbo engines. So yeah, I love those engines. I love those cars. I think they're the best looking cars of all time when it comes to Formula One. Um, and yeah, like, that's pretty much my second best moment. My third best moment is pretty much Lewis Hamilton, Brazil, right, when he won his his first world championship, as a Formula One driver. And that's the thing, like, it was clear that McLaren didn't have the best car. Like you said, Wes, they only had like the second or third best car on the grid, and I think that speaks a lot of volumes about Lewis Hamilton being, you know, a guy in his rookie season challenging, beating Fernando Alonso, uh, pretty much on equal machinery in his rookie season, and then the second season goes out, wins against Kimi Raikkonen, Felipe Massa, and Fernando Alonso. Um, and yeah, to me, like, those cars are also quite sexy looking, but
Not to mention the sound,
the sound as well, right?
that scream.
But yeah, to me, like Brazil, of course, it was the hometown of or it's the home country of Felipe Massa, and it was one of those heart pounding moments. Of course, I didn't see it live, but I did see it um, on watchback, and like, yeah, I definitely could see like it. I wish I was there. I wish I was able to see it because, man, like, just imagine being there, being a Lewis Hamilton fan, and passing Glock for like the last corner and taking the championship for fifth position. So on fifth position. So yeah, those are my like my top three best moments for McLaren's history.
That's pretty remarkable. As a matter of fact, it felt like as if you went into further detail with my points, and I really appreciate that. I think it provides a lot of very good context, and in a way, it complements our takes on McLaren very, very well.
Right.
And it is a New Year's Day, and do want to reiterate that here's to hoping that 2021 provides a lot of good memories for McLaren and its fans.
A lot of good racing. But yeah,
And yeah, let's also see what color they come out with this year. Now that McLaren Mercedes is now the thing again.
oh, I actually think they're gonna stick with papaya and blue.
Okay,
You think they're gonna go a little bit more silver, like accents of silver?
possibly.
Possibly. Okay. Yeah, I'm excited to see the new iteration of the McLaren. But yeah, with that being said, we touched on them a while back. Red Bull, right? They have to overcome Red Bull first in order to even target Mercedes. And so, Red Bull, right? It's no secret they have a new lineup: Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen. Now, all over the internet, all over YouTube, all over social media posts, there have been some quite vocal people who believe one or the other that this partnership is going to work. Sergio Perez is not going to be in the same pace. It could work, and Sergio Perez is going to challenge Max even more so than he thought, because Sergio, this is pretty much his only chance of ever winning a championship. But yeah, Wes, I wanted to know what you think about this new lineup for Red Bull. Any predictions for this upcoming seasons?
Well, on paper, this lineup is supposed to be very, very competitive.
Right.
Because you have race winners, you have seasoned drivers, you also have very, very diverse traits amongst the two drivers. I would like to think that in terms of the drivers themselves, Max and Sergio,
Yeah.
they're going to finish P2 and P3 in the championship this year. And Red Bull as a constructor will stay in second.
Okay.
And that's just because I've said in the past that for the constructors, I think it's Mercedes' title to lose, but then they are the best to defend, given that Lewis Hamilton can defeat a team by himself.
Right.
And I don't think this combination of Sergio and Max is good enough to do it.
Okay. Okay.
Especially if they tried with Sebastian and Kimi Räikkönen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
using two big names to take down one big name as well.
absolutely, and a powerhouse in Ferrari.
Exactly.
Yeah. And was there like any particular prediction? So, by your predictions, it sounds as though. Correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds as though you think that the Sergio Perez Max Verstappen relationship is going to work.
Yes.
Okay.
I really do, because I think we'll see a lot more racing from them too.
Okay.
We're not going to see a scenario where both guys are going to be by themselves.
Right. Okay.
Seconds apart on the track.
Not Baku seconds apart, like Ricardo and Max Verstappen when they collided, right?
I don't think they're going to collide.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
no. But do I think that we could see them battling and we could see them being within DRS range of one another and perhaps duking it out with folks like Bottas and Lando and
Absolutely.
uh, Sebastian, Stroll, Ricardo,
Mm.
and the two Renaults? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would prefer them to finish way ahead of all those guys I just mentioned.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see it happening. And the bigger concern, I think, for the both of them, no matter what, is how can they close the gap to Lewis?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
of course, the answer after all of that, after all the dust settles, is we can't.
Right.
But of course, as they say, you don't know unless you race. So looking forward to this lineup. Looking forward to their performance this season.
Yeah. I like your thinking on this. You know, you're thinking more of a logical step towards Red Bull's partnership. But for me, I actually think that Sergio Perez is going to be a little bit more of a thorn in Max Verstappen's side. Um, I think Sergio Perez sees this opportunity as his best opportunity to ever win a world championship. Um, and hopefully, you know, me and Joran, my brother, were kind of discussing this as well. You know, Sergio Perez is only there for like 1 year. And if he can challenge for wins, a couple wins, to pretty much put himself in the position for a world championship, perhaps against Lewis Hamilton, then absolutely he's gonna do it. We've seen him in the past. He's a killer, right? He wants to be the top dog in the team that he's currently in. I don't think he realizes that the situation and the geography of the team in Red Bull is a little bit more different from Force India or Racing Point, right? Like this is pretty much Max's team. This is like his. He is the guy that they want to win. And so I do think that Sergio can be almost the same pace as Max in the race. I don't know about qualifying. I know Max is really good at qualifying. This season, he's pretty much turned it up a level. Sergio isn't really that good at qualifying. Lance Stroll has pretty much beaten him. I think it's split down the middle. But in the race, yes, I do think Sergio Perez has enough racecraft to pretty much be on the same pace as Max. And I do believe he will challenge Bottas. Him and Max's primary target in the beginning of the season would be Max. Would be Bottas, Valtteri Bottas. And you brought up a good point, right? Like, I think they're going to be good enough to take second and third in the championship. I really do think that Bottas is mentally drained. Trying to beat Hamilton, I think, has kind of drained him in a way for the championship. And so, yeah, hopefully I'm wrong. But I do think that Red Bull this time around will force force Mercedes to make the tougher choices, right? Who are you going to pit first? You know, of course, it's going to be Lewis, but what time do you pit? Is it going to be an undercut? Is it going to be an overcut? These decisions were missing from Mercedes because they had such an easy season against Red Bull. And yeah, so I mean that's what I think. That's what me and Joran think. There's going to be a lot of fireworks in Red Bull this year, especially between Max and Perez. I do think they are going to collide at some point in the season. I hope not, because pretty much the goal ahead is Mercedes, and we've spoken about this, Wes. Honda's last year. We want them to do a lot better, but it seems as though Mercedes is a little bit more far, out of reach, pretty much, especially with Lewis Hamilton behind the wheel. So yeah, I think that's I mean, that's just the gist of it. Hopefully, I'm wrong. Hopefully, Wes, they do work out. Hopefully, they do go more your route. They work out, and they're great teammates, and they can challenge Mercedes a little bit more. Put them a little bit more of in a bind. Like I said last podcast, I think Red Bull is going to take the constructors, and Lewis is going to take the drivers, his eighth. So yeah, that's pretty much my prediction for the Red Bull lineup.
Yeah, no, yeah, sounds good. I mean, uh, we agree to disagree. Hopefully, of course, I'm gonna put my pride up and hope that my two hopes for the drivers will come through.
Mm,
And of course, if Red Bull can make things a little bit more interesting this coming season, of course the other teams too, but especially Red Bull because in a way this was their season.
right,
Outside of Mercedes dominating and making things look easy.
right.
Let's be real. We say easy, but god damn it, it's hard.
It's hard. Yeah,
I don't think the average person can determine whether it's time for Lewis or Bottas or George to
yeah.
pit.
And like Jordan brought up an interesting fact where he doesn't believe it's actually Red Bull that's going to be chasing Mercedes. It's going to be more McLaren and Aston Martin and Ferrari trying to pull Red Bull back from getting close to Mercedes, right? Like we have to keep in mind that there are other teams that are trying to catch up to Red Bull right now because Red Bull is pretty much the next step into challenging Mercedes.
Now, is he saying that because for the most part it's now becoming a Mercedes-powered competition?
It's pretty much, yeah, with McLaren. Do you
Yeah,
think
McLaren,
yeah,
Aston Martin,
Williams? Well, I don't know. I don't think Williams is gonna challenge Red Bull, but I think I do predict that Mercedes Ferrari is gonna do enough in the offseason to challenge McLaren for third. I don't know about challenge Red Bull for second, or even challenge Mercedes at first, but I think they're gonna do enough that they have all the facilities, they have all the resources, and if they don't move from their positions this year, then someone's got to go. It's got to be Mattia. But yeah, that's pretty much just my bold prediction.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it kind of makes sense, or not makes sense, but rather it aligns with what I said before, right? That when Mattia was sitting out races to develop the engine for the SF21,
Exactly.
I said that, he better show up with a damn good product.
Yeah, there's no excuses.
Do I want it to beat Mercedes and Lewis and Red Bull, Honda? I don't know. I can't confirm or deny that I want them to do that.
Right.
More on the former, or more on the latter actually.
Right.
That I would want them to do that.
Right.
But because I think it's still Mercedes championship to
Absolutely.
lose, and I'm a Lewis fan.
Yeah.
There, I said it, even though I've said it many times before.
Yeah.
And but going back to our main point in this part of the show, I have high expectations for Red Bull.
Yeah, me too, Wes. Me too. And I think we shouldn't hold them any less any less of expectations this year. But yeah, moving on to your guy, Lewis Hamilton. I mean, Sir Lewis Hamilton. Sir Lewis Hamilton.
He's your guy too.
He's my guy too. But yeah, Wes, I don't know if correct me if I'm wrong, but he is the only Formula One driver to ever race under the title of a knight while still racing.
It's possible. I'm not quite sure about that.
Yeah.
I know Jackie Stewart, I think, got it after racing.
I think
right?
I think so too. And so I think Lewis is a racing knight.
That'd be interesting to see. I mean, it's Crofty that introduces the grid, right?
That's what I was saying too.
It's like, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was. Does Bono have to go into Sir Lewis Hamilton? The tires are doing okay. How do they feel?
Probably not, because you
Yeah,
talked
probably
about
not.
how in the past in Mercedes it's a very, very open working culture.
Yeah, it's a very team
You
orient.
know,
Yeah,
everybody knows each other by a nickname or first name basis.
but I
It doesn't
do
matter.
think.
It doesn't matter where they come from.
Yeah, absolutely, and I do think Crofty will announce him as Sir Lewis Hamilton when he is running down the grid.
I mean, imagine that. It's like it's it's like imagine it. It's like I don't know. I know you like Suzuka, so just for you, I'll do this. Let's get to the opening grid of the Japanese Grand Prix. After a blistering qualifying in pole position, it's Sir Lewis Hamilton, alongside of Max Verstappen. On the second row, it's Checo Perez and Valtteri Bottas, followed by a third row lockup of McLaren with Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris. Imagine that.
Exactly.
That'd be interesting.
That'd be interesting. That'd be very interesting. But yeah. Besides the point, I do think he, I do think he is very deserving of this title.
Heck yes!
I'm super proud of Lewis, and I'm pretty sure, UK, the British fans, they're super excited, and I think he is very deserving. There's no other name outside of in Formula One that gives Formula One a bigger meaning, right? Like when we talk about Formula One today, usually it's Lewis Hamilton that first comes up. Um, Lewis is a bit bigger. He has kind of transcended into more than just F1, right? He's this fashion designer. He is this, his artist, right? We've seen him. He's been recording in the studio recently. Not only that, he's also an ambassador for pretty much global environments and
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. So he is absolutely transcendent himself. And we've spoken about this, West, after Formula One. He's still gonna be a busy guy. I do think that maybe Lewis isn't gonna step out of Formula One that easily. I think he's gonna take a leadership role, a manager's role, somewhere, kind of like a Alan,
Consultant's role.
right? Kind of like a Mika Hakkinen when he left McLaren. And so yeah, I'm super excited to see where what this means for Lewis, right? I do think we have a good idea. It just pretty much solidifies his greatness.
Oh, absolutely. If you ask me, Lewis is the best of his generation.
Mm,
When it comes to all time, we might have to have a serious discussion about that with folks that have been watching Formula One for
right,
longer periods of time.
right,
Um, but like you said, Joy, he is a man of many interests, many tastes, and on top of that, he does well in all of them.
mm,
And one of his ventures that I'm excited to see is his role as a team owner of X44 in
yeah,
Extreme E,
Extreme E,
which is kind of like the love child of Formula E and Dakar Rally,
right,
really. And he has a good team with him. He hired Sebastian Loeb, who is one of the best rally drivers of all
of all
time.
time.
And oh my gosh, it's like it's one of those things that combines everything that he loves: racing and environmental friendliness.
Right.
But yes, and like you said, Joy, when people talk about Formula One, the first name that comes to mind is Lewis Hamilton.
Mm,
One of my hot takes over the life of this podcast is that Formula One needs Lewis more than Lewis needs Formula One.
mm,
And of course, if Lewis keeps doing what he does and keeps becoming a positive presence in the world, that might actually be more truth than falsehood,
right.
right? But it's really amazing. It goes to show the crazy, I guess now that it's 2021, it's still kind of odd to say that, but very refreshing. That that's very characteristic of this decade. I guess we are now supposed to see very, very remarkable things in the 2020s, and this happens to be one of them. A knight doing arguably the most dangerous sport in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's probably the closest to being a knight, right? With like his car being his steed, his trusty steed. But yeah, like
Well, he's not jousting anybody because if you hit somebody, if you hit somebody in Formula
hopefully,
One,
hopefully not this
it
season.
could be bad.
Hopefully not this season. No jousting this season. But what do you call it? You brought up Extreme E. It's incredible that all these things are coming back to Lewis, right? All of his interests with environmental awareness and racing. And not only that, his biggest rival is also in Extreme E, in Nico Rosberg.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so we're definitely going to see who's a better manager, who's a better owner of a team. So, yeah, we'll see.
Lewis,
But you
Lewis.
actually brought up an interesting point. I actually didn't know Sebastian Loeb signed for Lewis Hamilton's team. But yeah, that's very interesting. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Wes. I think one of the team members for Nico Rosberg is one of the W Series drivers, Jamie Chadwick. Isn't it Jamie Chadwick?
Possibly.
Possibly.
Let
Okay.
me research that for you real quick as we're on the show. But I know there's a lot of big names in Extreme E, like Carlos Sainz Sr.
Right.
Is in the series too, and I think Carlos Sainz Jr. actually got a chance to drive or at least sit in the car, um, and it goes to show that there's really a lot of momentum in this series, and
I'm excited. I hope they air it. I hope we
he
can see it.
has. Yeah, he has Molly Taylor and Johan Christofferson.
Ah, okay. Molly Taylor. Okay.
Then let's take a look at X44 if they have their roster available. Let's see here. Very black and purple car. Cristina Gutierrez and Sebastian Loeb.
Okay. Okay.
And Sebastian Loeb is still in the WRC, which is crazy. Well, he's with Citroën, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's like
Last time I saw him, he was in Citroën.
Yeah, you have one of the best drivers in rally ever, and then according to Autosport, at one point was the #1 race car driver of 2005 on your team.
Right.
And of course, you have a very talented rally driver in Cristina Gutierrez. It's
Right.
like, oh man, I feel like this is going to be a really interesting racing series. And
Yeah.
the cars look nice too.
Yeah.
My gosh.
I never actually got into the car racing, which is I think it's the closest one to it. I saw Alonso did it for some brief period of time for the Toyota team, but yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see, Lewis's other ventures, how it plays out after Formula One, after his life in Formula One.
Absolutely, it's going to be. I think it's going to be really remarkable. I'm ready to have so if he drops tracks as a music star, I can't wait to have some of his EPs and albums on my streaming services.
Absolutely. And so let's get into some fun stuff.
Yay.
Let's get into some of these things that we love to do here in this podcast. We like to do a little bit of fun here and there. And this week, we actually don't know what to call this segment. Comment down below. We'll take any suggestions for any fun stuff, segments, any names. But yeah, this week it's gonna be pick the top 3 worst helmet designs and pick the top 3 best helmet designs. And so yeah, this pretty much struck me this week because one of my friends is a graphic designer, and she started watching Drive to Survive, and one of the things she noticed was the helmets of these drivers, and she realized some of them looked better than the others. And so yeah, this is pretty much where this I know it has been done in YouTube before, but I do think it's such an interesting point to make in our podcast, Wes. Are you ready? Start.
Yeah, I can't wait. Because I did take a look at your list that you submitted to me earlier in the week, Joy, and thank you for that. because I really don't. Let's be real, I don't really pay attention to
Mm,
the helmets. I pay attention to more to racing,
right.
even though I do like a little bit of fashion here and there. But here, my picks for the worst helmet designs of this season: Lance Stroll, Esteban Ocon, Antonio Giovinazzi.
Oh, okay. Wow. Interesting. Any?
Stroll's
Yeah.
Stroll's looks like a
It
bubblegum
looks like bubblegum.
dum dum lollipop. It's just pink.
It looks like the Hubba Bubba
Yeah,
bubblegum.
or that too. Yeah, the Hubba Bubba. Ocon, Ocon is literally it's a Mercedes helmet. We just took off the Mercedes logo on it.
Yeah. Well, pretty much. That's what I said too.
And then Giovinazzi. It was hard for me to find three, but Giovinazzi for me, it's you
Wow.
know,
Really, Jovi? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I
Cool.
mean,
Cool.
it's the other ones I actually liked,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
to be honest with you. But for me, Giovinazzi, it's like I don't know. I don't know. It looks a little.
Too Italian.
No, it's not that at all. I
Yeah.
mean, otherwise, I'd be picking off
Wow.
one of my best picks.
That's
But
interesting. I
uh,
actually think Giovinazzi does a nice job of designing his helmets. But to each their own. And yeah, you brought up an interesting point, right?
I
Uh,
mean, they're all to me. They're for the most part, they're very good. It's
they're
just that
all
some
very good, right?
they either lack originality or some other reason. But
Yeah.
for me, Giovinazzi was one of those fringe helmets, and I want to meet the instructions here. So for me, it was a little bit on the side rather than the wow side.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, for my picks for the top three worst helmet designs, um, number one, I have Stroll, right? Stroll, like you said, Wes, I completely agree. There's nothing to it. It's literally just they painted it pink and then they, stamped his logo on there, the LS. And then the Racing Point target, which I
It's
don't
like a
know.
football helmet.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Like it just doesn't look good. It looks like bubblegum, like you said. Um, and yeah, there's just nothing that pops to it. It's quite difficult actually. Sometimes when I have to tell between Sergio Perez and Lance Stroll, but I just have to look at the yellow camera above their heads. Pretty much that's the giveaway. But yeah, um, for me,
Or the halo because they have their initial
right,
on the halo.
right, absolutely, and yeah. So for me, in number two, is Daniel Kvyat. Um, I will say, the Alpha, with Red Bull and AlphaTauri, there's not a lot that you could create because AlphaTauri and Red Bull really love to stick their branding on there, and there's not a lot of room for drivers to really express themselves, especially in those helmet designs. But I think Kvyat could have done a little bit better. Um, he it's just there's a lot of things. I do like Pierre Gasly's Imola special edition helmet, where he pretty much had the Ayrton Senna colors because the AlphaTauri blue actually went well with the blue on Ayrton Senna's helmet, and it was nice. It was nice, but that was a one-off helmet. It wasn't actually his real helmet that he wore throughout the season. But Kvyat, like I said, he could have done a lot better. Again, I don't actually fault him for this because it's AlphaTauri and Red Bull. They like to do a lot of their branding um, on their drivers' helmets. And so, yeah, moving on. Number three, I think it's Kimi Räikkönen. I think, I think Kimi's, I think Kimi's helmet. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's so many sharp edges that are pointing in so many different directions. Um, and he has this thing. I think it's on the back of his helmet. It's called the Iceman, but it totally doesn't look like it spells out Iceman. But that's just me. I don't know. Also, the colors aren't really well implemented. I've seen these color combinations done. I think he could have done a little bit better with the color combinations. But yeah. Other than that, like special honor Um, you're probably not gonna like me on this one, Wes. I did not like George Russell's helmet. I don't think the blue, the white, and the red really match. I do think his Mercedes helmet was a lot better.
I think that's not his fault though,
Right,
because Williams changed color schemes before the
right,
season started,
absolutely, and
because they were going to be that light blue, and
right,
then Rocket
right, and now
didn't want
it's
to be with them
primarily
anymore.
yeah, now it's primarily red. I mean, I don't know. For me, his
No,
logo,
it's white and blue.
yeah, yeah,
Williams this year was white and dark blue.
yeah, yeah, and I don't know, like it. I don't know. Maybe it's just the logo for me. The GR63 doesn't really work well for me. There's something off about it. It's not like a Lando Norris logo, which I do think is probably the best logo in the grid. But yeah, I don't know. I just never really liked George Russell's helmet, except for the Mercedes one, because the Mercedes one pretty much brought back so many memories of Michael Schumacher's helmet, and so yeah, that got me super excited. But yeah,
Sure.
Wes, your best helmet designs for you.
Okay. My third favorite this season was Lando Norris.
Mm,
The blue and green. I like those colors. I also understand that his design is based off of Valentino Rossi because he
mm,
loves Valentino Rossi.
absolutely.
And Valentino is a sunny, bright guy. Lando happens to be a sunny, bright guy as well, or
Right.
bright kid, if you
Right.
wanna say, because he's if you ask me, he's a bit of a man child, but he's so damn good at driving a damn car.
Right.
And I think he's gonna continue to have that positive energy and bright helmet for the rest of his career.
Mm.
Number two, Sebastian Vettel,
Hey,
who doesn't like that German stripe.
I love it.
And I think that's why I picked on Giovinazzi, because the one like once you already have somebody's flag helmet on there, it's kind of already hard to top it,
Right.
especially when that one is already very good.
Right. I
And
also
of
I also
course,
like Vettel's what's it called? His special edition one. The We
the
Races one.
dragon.
No, the We Races one.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that one's pretty good too.
Yeah.
I like the one. I also liked the one where he had like the dragon outline to commemorate Michael.
Right.
Um, and my number one pick, I do have an honorable mention, which I will mention later, or maybe I'll mention it now. Albert Park, Valtteri Bottas.
Mm.
I love blue.
That was my
I
favorite
love
too.
I love tropical,
One of my favorite.
oceanic vibes, oceanic energy, and that was it.
The dabbing koala.
Yeah, the Daving
That
Koala.
was cute. That was
Um,
cute. I love that.
of course, there was a lot of good helmets this year. I liked Albon's. I liked Bottas's helmet too. I liked Ricardo's.
Mm.
But of course, we can only pick three, and those are three I'm gonna go with. But with number one, I've always thought this. I felt like I was the only one that thought this, uh, especially with some of the things that happened in 2020. But for Wakanda, Lewis Hamilton,
Lewis
the
Hamilton.
black and gold.
I love it. That was, it's one of my favorite ones. I did not rate it as my top three, but I do think this is Hamilton's best helmet. I think he needs to keep it.
Well, I mean, that design I think is going to be consistent throughout his time at Mercedes,
Right.
right? And of course, there's just different colors, and of course, if he locks up the championship, he turns it into gold, which is pretty damn nice in itself.
I actually love the black and purple one. It's very distinct. I've never seen gold implemented on a car or on a helmet.
Well, his championship-winning helmets are gold.
I mean purple.
Oh, purple, yeah.
Purple, yeah.
No,
I love
yeah.
purple.
I mean, purple was going to be his theme anyway, with the white.
Yeah.
Had Mercedes that stayed with the white suit, silver car.
Mm.
But when they
With
went
the
to
black.
all black,
Oh.
yeah, I was like, oh man. And then of course, it also reminded me of when he tributed one of his wins to Chadwick Boseman, the late Chadwick Boseman.
Right.
That's why I said Wakanda forever for the helmet. And then he did the
Right.
sign. So it's like, yeah, in a way,
It's a
you could
nice
also
touch.
say Lewis was also racing for Wakanda,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
he won. He won for Wakanda.
He won
so,
for Wakanda. Oh,
Yeah, no,
but
yeah,
yeah,
those are my helmet designs for the year that were my top three.
yeah, those are great. Those are great picks, Wes. And so yeah, I'm gonna go, with a pick that we share. It's Sebastian Vettel. Um, I just like just his normal one. I just love the white, the all white. I think the Ferrari outline of the prancing horse and the German flag. It's so uniquely Sebastian Vettel. You could tell it's Sebastian. You know, you could blank out. You could like cover the color of any car that he's driving, and you could just have that helmet. That's Sebastian Vettel. That German flag. I love it. It's off to the side. It's not to the center. I think the center, if he put it to the center, it was a little bit more off-putting. But I like it when it's off to the side. It makes it a little bit more of him. It's more of his choice. I do like it. Pretty much his special edition as well, where he had the rainbow, and pretty much the incredible designs for like the diversity in his helmet and the sides of his helmet. I think that was a nice touch. But yeah, my second is Daniel Ricardo. Actually, I love Daniel Ricardo. You could tell he hires a graphic designer to just design his helmet, because you could see it, like it's just a graphic designer's work. It's very uniform. It's very nice to look at, and it's very distinct. And I think Lewis Daniel Ricardo really loves to play with these color combinations and patterns. I love the cheetah print, and yeah, it's incredible. Um, you know, Daniel Ricardo back to back 2 years have, for me, created the top two best helmet designs. I do like the last year one a little bit better, but this year is great. I love that gray base. It's incredible, and it brings out the cheetah stripes, or the cheetah spots. And so yeah, number one for me is Carlos Sainz. I think Carlos does this kind of Sebastian Vettel approach, but very differently, where it's off to the sides, and he has this incredible gray, this very dark gray as a base color, and he has the Spanish flag, the Spanish colors. I think it's incredible to see. I love it, and yeah, to me this year, I think he's got the best helmet. I love seeing that helmet into that McLaren car, and yeah, it was easily recognizable that it was Sainz. So yeah,
No, those are really good picks. Like I said, it was very hard to do this because
yeah,
I think for the most part everybody had a really good helmet,
absolutely,
and of course when you have such a wide list to choose from, there are going to be omissions,
right,
and it's going to become very very subjective.
absolutely,
But for what it's worth, the guys on the grid have really good taste,
yeah.
and yeah, man, I can't wait to see what 2021's helmets look like.
I'm excited to see the Aston Martin if they implement those greens.
Well, maybe on the car. I don't know about the helmet because
Ah,
that's a driver. That's a driver thing. No,
right,
that's
right.
not a
No, but,
team thing.
that's what I'm saying. Like Lance Stroll has pink helmet. Maybe he implements the green Aston Martin in his helmet as well.
Probably,
Yeah,
probably, and then of course with the Red Bulls, you're not gonna see Aston Martin on the visor border
right.
anymore.
Probably a
Might
Honda.
be Red Bull or Honda.
Ooh, I would
Yeah.
love to see a Honda visor, pretty much decal.
Oh,
That'd
then
be
just
incredible.
then just watch AlphaTauri.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, no. We'll see. It's gonna be a lot of really interesting looks
Hmm.
on the grid. I think that's the one thing that people go nuts for is the uniform, the threads
Hmm.
from shirt designs, helmet designs, suit designs, car livery designs, whatever. Can't wait.
I can't wait either. But yeah, thank you so much, Wes, for sharing your top three worst and best helmet designs for 2020. Thank you so much for joining me in this podcast. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to the Run It Back. podcast. Again, Happy New Year, and yeah, hopefully it's a great new it's a great New Year. It's a great year for everyone, and I'm wishing everyone all the best for this New Year.
Yeah, yeah, Joy. I do want to say a couple things
Yeah,
before we sign off for tonight.
go ahead.
First and foremost, thank you for giving me a challenge for this week for our fun stuff. This actually had me doing a lot of thinking.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, thank you for a great show, giving a space for folks like you and me, as well as our listeners, to have a chance to hear, listen, give and take our thoughts on the Formula One landscape. And although it's relatively young, I can see us getting better as the days go by. Um, and for everyone that has been listening to us from the get-go, thank you so much, especially joining us at the practically past the halfway point of the season. And 2021 is right around the corner in terms of the Formula One calendar. For those just living their lives and listening to us, 2020 was rough. Let's be honest, but hey, we made it. We're here. It's still going to be a long climb, but 2021 is going to be a lot better. I can promise you that.
hey. All right, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Again, I'm Joy. That's Wes. Good night.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Keep it on track.